And a new type of giant long-necked dinosaur, twice the size of a Tyrannosaurus rex, has been identified up by scientists from remains dug up in Thailand. The Nagatatan, the largest ever dinosaur found in Southeast Asia, weighed 27 tons, as much as 9 adult Asian elephants, and measured 27 meters, 88 ft in length, longer than a diplodocus. Like that dinosaur, it belonged to the sauropod family of long-necked herbivores.
That Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has called on fellow BRICS nations to condemn what he called violations of international law by the United States and Israel. That, as the war in the Middle East and the related fuel crisis dominate the two-day gathering in the Indian capital. New Delhi, Araghchi accused the United Arab Emirates, a US ally, on Thursday of direct involvement in military operations against Iran. That, in a rare moment when Iranian and Emirati officials have been in the same room since the US and Israel's war on Iran began at the end of February.
And Mariam Nawaz has announced that electric buses will be introduced in all 148 tehsils across Punjab as the provincial government expands its public transport network. In a statement, the Punjab Chief Minister said electric buses would be provided across the province to improve public transport facilities and modernise urban mobility infrastructure.
That the Israeli government has said it is taking the extraordinary step of suing the New York Times after the newspaper published an article detailing rape allegations by Palestinian detainees against Israeli forces. Israel's Prime Minister's office made the announcement 3 days after the release of the article by longtime New York Times columnist Nicholas Kristof, which was based on the accounts of 14 male and female Palestinian victims. That Yemen's internationally recognized government and the Houthi group have signed a United Nations-backed agreement in Jordan to exchange more than 1,600 detainees. That marking the largest prisoner exchange since the country's civil war began in September 2014. Under the accord, the Houthis will release 580 prisoners, including 7 Saudis and 20 Sudanese, while the government will release 1. That 100 Houthi prisoners, Houthi official Abdul Qadir al-Mu'tada said in a post on social media on Thursday.
And Cuba has been hit by worsening power outages after the island's communist government said fuel reserves had run out, as rare protests erupted in neighborhoods around the capital. Havana, large parts of eastern Cuba were plunged into darkness on Thursday in the latest round of nationwide electricity shutdowns, while demonstrations over the blackouts broke out in western areas near Havana.
That US President Donald Trump returns to Beijing after 9 years to meet Chinese President Xi Jinping. Their trade war, conflict in Iran, and rising fears over Taiwan shape the talks. With global tensions mounting, can the leaders find common ground, or will rivalry push the world further into crisis? In this episode, that Iraq's new Prime Minister, Ali al-Zaidi, has been sworn in with only a partial cabinet after lawmakers failed to reach a consensus on key postings, including interior and defense. The Prime Minister and other ministers who secured parliamentary confidence took the constitutional oath of office on Thursday, according to the official Iraqi news agency, INA, formally assuming their duties. That earlier this week, hackers hijacked several open-source projects used by dozens of companies and pushed updates designed to spread malware. This is the latest in a string of recent so-called supply chain attacks targeting software developers and their projects. That on Wednesday, OpenAI confirmed that 2 employees had their devices impacted by this attack. But after an investigation, the company said in a blog post that it found no evidence that OpenAI user data was accessed, that our production systems or intellectual property were compromised, or that our software was altered. That Cerebras raised $5.5 billion in its IPO on Thursday, pricing shares at $185 Wednesday evening, way higher than its range, 115 to 125, later raised to 150, 160, even as it increased the size of the offering to 30 million shares. And pre-market trading indicates that shares are going to open with a giant pop as retail investors bid up the price to grab them. We'll update this story after trading begins.
And The Punjab government has introduced a revised penalty and point deduction system for traffic violations across the province under the amended motor vehicle regulations published in the Punjab Gazette on May 7, 2026. Under the new penalty structure, overspeeding fines range from Rs 2,000 for motorcycles and three-wheelers to 10,000 for heavy transport vehicles, while 4 penalty points will also be deducted. And Pakistan has successfully raised RMB 1.75 billion, equivalent to about $250 million, through its first ever panda bond issuance in China's onshore capital market, marking the country's debut sovereign borrowing in Chinese yuan. The 3-year fixed-rate bond attracted strong investor demand, with total bids exceeding RMB 8.8 billion, or roughly 1.26 billion dirham, resulting in an oversubscription of more than 5 times the offered amount. And France's health minister said Thursday that 26 people in France identified as close contacts of hantavirus cases linked to the MV Hondius cruise ship had tested negative for the illness. Dutch authorities also confirmed that all people who arrived in the Netherlands on evacuation flights from the ship this week have tested negative. And Chinese President Xi Jinping and his US counterpart Donald Trump met in Beijing on Thursday for high-stakes talks discussing the Iran war, Ukraine, and economic cooperation. Away from the long list of complex agenda topics, here are 5 other highlights from day 1 of the summit.
That. More than 100 peacocks are wreaking havoc in the Italian seaside town of Punta Marina on the Adriatic coast, leading to local divisions over what to do about the swelling colony. By some estimates, nearly 150 peacocks are roaming free, causing a ruckus and showing aggressive behavior against humans, cars, and urban gardens.
And Ian Crosby, whose previous startup venture counting famously shut down in 2024 before being bought for scraps, is taking another shot at building a business out of automating the arduous work of bookkeeping. His new startup, Synthetic And, aims to build a fully autonomous AI bookkeeper that can generate accrual-based financials without direct human involvement. And although the product is still in the design phase, and Crosby admits his vision may not yet be technologically possible, the startup has raised $10 million in a seed funding round led by Khosla Ventures and with participation from Basis Set Ventures and Shopify CEO Tobias Lutke. And Spotify announced on Thursday that it plans to embrace Apple's HLS HTTP live streaming video technology, which Apple recently introduced on Apple Podcasts to enhance the video experience. And the adoption means that Spotify-hosted shows will soon be able to distribute and monetize their video podcasts on Apple Podcasts, expanding creator reach without requiring any changes to their existing setups. With the adoption of HLS, and Spotify listeners should be able to enjoy a consistently high-quality video experience, no matter their internet connection. As Apple explains, HLS technology automatically adjusts video quality in real time based on network speed and whether users are on fast Wi-Fi at home or relying on cellular data. This means video podcasts will play smoothly with minimal interruptions, so there will be less buffering and fewer sudden drops in video quality. And prices of sacrificial animals have risen sharply at Lahore's cattle markets ahead of Eid al-Adha, with traders citing higher transportation, feed, and livestock costs behind the increase. Residents have started visiting cattle markets across the city to compare prices and inspect animals before making final purchases closer to Eid. And Punjab government has banned 7 actresses and 1 actor from performing in theatres across the province over alleged violations of theatre regulations and standard operating procedures. According to authorities, the action was taken under the Dramatic Performances Act 1876, following complaints regarding obscene dances and inappropriate dialogues during theatre performances. And Islamabad. The Pakistan Business Forum, PBF, on Thursday called for the agriculture and industrial sectors to return to federal policymaking under the purported 28th constitutional amendment and to correct missteps made under the 18th Amendment almost 2 decades ago. in a letter to the various political parties and the government, and the Punjab-based non-partisan body said the country's long-term economic interests could only be safeguarded through a national policy structure on both central production sectors of the economy. And Islamabad. Pakistan raised $250 million through its inaugural panda bond issuance in the Chinese capital market at an interest rate of 2.5% with a 3-year maturity. And according to advisor to the finance minister Khurram Shehzad, in a social media post on X on Thursday, Shehzad said, Pakistan has successfully completed its inaugural panda bond issuance in China's onshore capital market today, and marking the country's first ever entry into the world's second largest and deepest capital market. And one day into US President Donald Trump's visit to China for trade talks, both he and Chinese President Xi Jinping have exchanged toasts at a state banquet at the Great Hall of the People in Beijing and hailed their relationship as the world's most consequential. On Thursday, following a visit to the Temple of Heaven, a 600-year-old landmark in the Chinese capital, Xi spoke of a shared US-China future, and while also warning that failure to handle this bond would create a very dangerous situation. And Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, PIF, has been named an official tournament supporter in North America and Asia for this year's World Cup, as the country deepens its ties with international football ahead of hosting the 2034 tournament, the 2026 World Cup. The first edition of the global showpiece to feature 48 teams will be co-hosted by the United States, Canada and Mexico from June 11 to July 19. And United States President Donald Trump has discussed the Strait of Hormuz and the US-Israel war on Iran during his meeting with China's Xi Jinping as negotiations to end the conflict and open the waterway are stalled. According to the White House, Trump and Xi had a good meeting on Thursday and agreed that the Strait of Hormuz must remain open to support the free flow of energy.
That. Israel's defense minister has criticized Barcelona's teenage star Lamine Yamal for waving a Palestinian flag during celebrations of the Spanish League title win, saying the act incites hate. The 18-year-old Yamal waved a large Palestinian flag from an open-top bus during a victory parade by the team through Barcelona on Monday.
And the FIFA World Cup 2026 will be one like never before, featuring 48 teams from across 6 confederations. The tournament will be the biggest in the competition's 96-year history.
That. Yesterday, Instagram globally released a new feature called Instants that's designed for sharing authentic, disappearing photos. While the Meta-owned social network billed Instants as a new format to share real-life moments as they're happening, many users are looking for a way to turn off the feature, especially those who have ended up accidentally sending images to others, not fully understanding how the feature works. When you open up Instagram's new Instants section for the first time by tapping the mini photo stack in the bottom right corner of your inbox, the app opens up a brief introduction about the feature that informs users that Instants disappear, that there's no viewers list, and that reactions and replies are private. The app then quickly takes you through the process of viewing and reacting to Instants.
And the inquiry committee formed by Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif to investigate the One Constitution Avenue case has completed its proceedings and is expected to submit its final report shortly. Sources said the committee, constituted on the Prime Minister's directives, recorded statements from all relevant parties involved in the matter, including government officials, senior bureaucrats, and individuals linked to the case. And Pakistan is looking to expand exports of elite buffalo embryos and dairy genetics to China as the country seeks new agricultural revenue streams and stronger cooperation in livestock biotechnology with its largest trading partner. The discussions took place during a meeting in Islamabad between Food Security Minister Rana Tanveer Hussain and a visiting Chinese delegation. And Sharjeel Enam Mamon has announced that the Sindh government will fully open the Malir Expressway, also known as Shara-e-Bhutto Expressway, for public traffic by the end of May. Speaking at a press conference in Karachi, the senior Sindh minister said the project would directly connect the expressway with the M9 motorway, significantly improving traffic flow for people entering and leaving the city.